Well, the Biden administration is planning a multi-million-dollar transfer of bombs to Israel. That's according to the Wall Street Journal. The $320 million package includes precision-guided weapons and follows a $402 million transfer of the same weapons back in 2020. Well, last week, the House of Representatives passed a plan providing $14.5 billion in military aid for Israel, including $4 billion to replenish its Iron Dome missile defense system. The US ally is already receiving $3.8 billion a year in military assistance. That's under a 10-year plan that began back in 2016. And Washington's given Israel more military assistance than any other country since World War II, providing aid worth more than $124 billion. And all this as the US is deploying a second carrier strike group and other assets to the region, including a nuclear-powered Ohio-class submarine, as a warning to Israel's adversaries. OK, let's bring in Glenn Carle, who is a former Deputy National Intelligence Officer with America's Central Intelligence Agency. He's in Boston and with us live. A very warm welcome to you. Now, forgive me if I'm stating the obvious, but submarines like the Ohio class that's now in the region, I gather, off the coast of Iran, are designed to remain hidden. So why are the Americans so adamant now that it be seen, and by who?
Well, they're designed to be hidden from hostile parties so that they can't be harmed. Certainly that's the case. In this instance, it's only the second time in recent years, at least, that the United States has announced the deployment of a submarine to the Eastern Mediterranean, or to what we call in the United States military terminology, the Central Command structure. And it's been announced publicly as a deterrent to say, here is another big stick that is there for potential use. And that message is sent directly to Tehran, saying, do not expand this crisis beyond the horrors going on in Gaza.
And does Iran, one of the so-called axis of resistance countries, need to believe that the threat is credible for that deterrence to work?
Oh, of course. This is always the fuzzy, murky aspect of deterrence, is that the potential opponent has to believe that the person announcing the deployment will actually use the tools or the weapons that are being sent. But in this instance, the messages have been particularly explicit, repeated, and direct from the top U.S. Leaders, and the deployment of resources of military capabilities has been pretty noticeable, pretty strong.
As we're talking about US military weaponry, of course, being used in the region, we are hearing the sounds of gunfire in Gaza. I mean, the region, of course, is bristling with American weaponry at the moment. On top of this submarine, you've got two strike carrier groups, the Ford and the Eisenhower and the Eastern Med. How helpful is this gunboat diplomacy when it comes to diffusing tensions?
Well, I think people are focusing, understandably, on, goodness, look at all these weapons going. Why is that? That's a very dangerous thing. The perverse reality, however, is that it is dissuasive. And so far, it has been quite successful. The U.S. has done a number of things, or not done a number of things. There have been 27 attacks since October 7 by surrogates of Iran on American forces throughout the Middle East. There's only been, to my knowledge, one response, quite limited. However, all of that lack of action or restraint is combined with stronger deployment of potential forces to use, and the explicit message, don't extend to Iran, do not extend the conflict. Now, I have to say that Tehran has been pretty clear also that it does not want to see the conflict expand into a regional, at the least, war. So while they continue to send messages to the United States in particular about don't interfere with our capabilities, our Iranian capabilities. So both sides actually have shown happily that they don't want this to expand while sending messages that they will act strongly if something happens that crosses a red line, which is always fuzzy, a red line.
There seem to be a lot of fuzzy red lines at the moment. Glenn Carle, former Deputy National Intelligence Officer with America's CIA. Many thanks for joining us.
Anytime.